Hello and welcome to this Friday's live session. My name is 𝗙𝗲𝗏 Sobirovs. I'm the managing lawyer of a boutique business immigration law firm here in Toronto. Last week we had to cancel this live presentation because of the internet outage. Internet connection was very bad across Canada. Thanks to Rogers Telecommunications, it's one of the biggest internet service providers in Canada. That's why we had to cancel it. So I apologize for the very short notice of cancellation, but now we have stable internet connection and I'm connecting with you live from our new office. So the first announcement I want to make is that Sobirovs Law Firm has moved to its new office in Toronto. So don't mind this very, very new furniture, and there's some noise going on. Don't mind that noise, please. So welcome again. We broadcast live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So today's topic is, as you may already know, is about LMIAs, Labor Market Impact Assessment for employers. So we will look into this subject matter from the employer's perspective. And as usual, I will make a quick presentation. Then I will take your questions, so please feel free to type your questions in the comment section wherever you're joining us from. These live sessions every week happen at 10:30 a.m. Toronto time, and for the last several weeks we were not able to do these live sessions. The reason is I was traveling to Nova Scotia to see the province for myself, and we celebrated Canada Day in Nova Scotia. We took our team members to that beautiful province. We learned a lot, and we will be sharing our impressions and what we explored, what we learned in that beautiful province of Nova Scotia. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please consider subscribing. We share a lot of useful information about business immigration, investor immigration, and tech immigration. So whenever you have questions, don't shy away. Put those questions in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer them during live session. If I cannot answer them in this session, I will make sure that you will get a response as soon as possible. Okay? So whatever you hear in these live sessions should not be considered legal advice. Legal advice can only be obtained when you hire a lawyer and there's a lawyer-client relationship. So whatever you hear in these live sessions should be considered as general information. Okay. Now, today's agenda, we will delve into the question of getting labor market impact assessment. That's something that you need as a Canadian employer in order to hire and bring foreign workers from outside of Canada. So we will touch upon the question of LMIA. What is LMIA in Canada? How things work as a process, LMIA process step by step, and then we will go into the analysis of what you need to satisfy as an employer in order to get an LMIA, a positive LMIA. We will look into high wage workers. How you need to hire high wage workers, low wage workers, LMIA eligibility of employers, the processing time, which is very, very big problem these days. Processing times is a big issue in Canada and outside of Canada for those who are joining us from different parts of the world. I know that you must be very curious about processing times, because processing time at an embassy level is very different from country to country. And then we will look into the issue of expedited LMIA applications and frequently asked questions about LMIA. So this is our general agenda, and I will use our recent publication that we did on our website, Sobirovs.com. When you visit this website, you will find a lot of useful information. So this website is regularly updated on a weekly basis almost. And we just published a new section where under employers, we we published Labor Market Impact Assessment Guide. So I will be using extensively this guide during our presentation. So let me give you a little bit of a background, what's going on in Canada in terms of workers and foreign workers in particular. Recent survey by Business Council of Canada has revealed that many employers in Canada are either in dire need of foreign workers, or they're also using immigration to their advantage to bring foreign workers. So I will refer you to this report. You need to, if you want to know more about what's going on in Canada in terms of foreign workers, I strongly suggest that you need to read this. Key takeaways, that's very important in a nutshell. As you can see, 4 out of 5 respondents, which are 80 companies, 80 major companies in Canada, are experiencing labor shortage. So this is where the topic is, I would say, a bit painful. Labor shortage, lots of projects, however, you don't have people to do those projects, okay? 2/3 of respondents, these are big Canadian companies, they say we use the immigration system to recruit new workers. So LMIA, foreign worker recruitment, and everything else is a big topic for Canadian employers. The unemployment rate at the moment in Canada is one of the very lowest in the last 40 years. So there are positions, but they are not workers. There aren't available workers. Fewer than a quarter of respondents say the immigration system currently serves their needs very well or very well. So the immigration system problems sometimes stop Canadian employers from hiring foreign workers because it's the time issue, it's the hassle, it's the obstacles of bringing foreign workers and so on. So that's why fewer than quarter say that the immigration system is currently serving their needs. So majority says it's not serving their needs. So that's another problem for our politicians. Half of the respondents think government should increase immigration levels. Half, more than 50%, 50% and plus, they think government has to do something. Respondents are committed to helping newcomers succeed. So whoever comes here to Canada and settles down, whether it's temporarily or permanently, there's a support out there by the employers to integrate, to become long-term workers of those companies. And lastly, the last key takeaway from this survey is that 2/3 of respondents indicate that processing delays are the top barrier to recruiting newcomers. So processing time across the board is problem, and you should make your expectations accordingly in this environment, okay? So please go to this. I will leave the link under the video. It's a very good report with very good statistics, and you will see where the top skills are in short supply, what is the impact of foreign workers, and you will get the big picture that is relevant to today's topic that we will discuss, okay? Okay, now, labor market impact assessment. Let's delve into our topics. Today's topic is labor market impact assessment is a way of asking the government for their position in terms of bringing foreign workers. Basically, what you say in this application is that you did your best as a Canadian employer to hire local Canadians, to look for local Canadians and recruit them. However, you couldn't find enough workers. That's why you need government's so-called permission to bring foreign workers. In a very simple terms, LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment, is a government's permission for you as a Canadian employer to bring foreign workers. So that LMIA may be required if you're looking to hire foreign workers. Sometimes it's required, sometimes it's not required. Depends on whether the profession is LMIA exempt or the situation is LMIA exempt or not. So we will delve into that. Companies hiring through temporary foreign worker may need first to obtain approval from the government, that's the permission from the government, to employ international talent. Now, looking at the current workforce and the labor market in Canada, one can assume, but it's just an assumption, that there are worker shortages across all industries, almost all professions. They experience labor shortage, right? Workers shortage. Now, that's why it's maybe at the moment easier to prove that you need to hire internationally. So that's one lesson, one conclusion you can make in the current environment. So, however, the laws don't change very quickly. Regardless of the socio-economic situation in Canada right now with respect to workforce, the system remains to be very complicated. So Canadian immigration system is one of the most complicated in the world. In what terms? In terms that government is doing their best to bring migrants to Canada. They have created many immigration programs. They are quite sophisticated. It's not just filling up the forms and submitting. It requires strategy based on the applicant's background, profile, skills, and profession. So many layers of factors that affect your application. So that's why as immigration lawyers, we always tell there's no magic formula. Okay? There's no magic formula. If something worked for some citizen of some country, doesn't necessarily work for a citizen of another country or another profession, and so on. So that's why it's complicated. It's not complicated on purpose, I think. It's complicated because there are many different pathways to follow. So that's why, depending on the immigration pathway, you will likely encounter various applications, assessments, even interviews with Canadian authorities and relevant government offices. So you need to devise your immigration strategy as an employer, depending on who you will hire, when you will hire, who's that person as a background, as a citizen of which country, what's his or her background, and so on. So there are many layers of analysis that you need to do. Coming to the question, what is LMIA in Canada? LMIA is very basically stands for a labor market impact assessment. It's a form of assessment that government does after you apply for them. And for as a company, we're looking to hire workers, whether locally or internationally. Locally, you cannot find workers. Now you should hire internationally. So the assessment itself by the government analyzes whether an offer of employment to a foreign national will have negative effect on domestic employment. Okay, the idea is, if I allow you to bring foreign worker from outside of Canada, will that have negative effect for the employment of Canadians? So that's the assessment you need to do, the government will do, and you need to be prepared. If such an offer of employment to a foreign national doesn't have negative effect, then the employer who's asking for LMIA will get a positive LMIA result. So once you get that positive LMIA result, then you can offer the job to a foreign national and start the process. Coming to the process, this is very high level of the process. Basically, first you need to identify, do you need LMIA? Because as I said, certain LMIA exempt categories are out there. Your employee that you are trying to hire from outside of Canada may qualify under LMIA exempt category. So you need to first answer that question. Do you really need LMIA? If yes, then you need to select appropriate wage stream. Is it high wage or low wage? And depending on that, comply with advertising requirements. The advertisement should be there. You should give every opportunity for local Canadians, citizens and residents, an opportunity to apply for that job and get it's basically they need to have that opportunity. For them to have the opportunity, you need to advertise the position, okay? That's why there's an advertisement requirement. Some professions, again, they discounted that and they don't need advertisement requirements. But again, in general, there is an advertisement requirement. You complete the application package as a Canadian employer, whether you complete it in-house or you outsource it to a law firm like Sobirovs law firm to do that for you, because you may not have the expertise in-house, but you have big operations in Canada and you want to hire foreign workers. Pay the fees. Of course, there are fees associated with LMIA application. You will have an interview with ESDC. ESDC stands for Employment and Social Development Canada. So ESDC is a government body that gives assessment and gives you positive or negative LMIA. If LMIA is approved, then you give that LMIA to the worker you want to hire from outside of Canada or international worker inside Canada. Then the worker applies for a work permit. Okay, so Employment and Social Development, ESDC, Employment and Social Development Canada will evaluate the job offer and the employer's LMIA application. You can apply for LMIA using the form. It's very conveniently located in our article. If you get a positive assessment, then ESDC will notify you. Then it will give you a confirmation letter. Now, this stage is the worker-related stage. Now, you decided to hire someone from outside of Canada who's not Canadian. So once the LMIA is approved, the next is on the worker's side. The worker will get the confirmation letter from you, and then the worker will have to apply for work visa if that worker is from a visa country. Sometimes you may hire, let's say, United States citizens or European citizens. They don't need work visas. They come and obtain it at the border. So the main components of that worker's application is a job offer letter, a fully signed employment contract, a copy of the LMIA, that you positive LMIA. The LMIA number will have to be provided, and an employee will give that to the worker. The worker will apply. The fact that you got a positive LMIA is not a guarantee that the worker will get work visa. Okay, so you need to be aware, and the processing is totally different. ESDC is quite fast in processing your LMIA application. The embassies at the Canadian embassies outside of Canada, they may not be as fast as you might expect. Okay, so timing is very, very important. So while I do, let me double check if the connection is fine. Okay, the connection is fine and everything is going well. Feel free, I can see some questions. Feel free to put your questions down. After I finish, I will get back to your questions. Okay, so what is required from an employer for LMIA? What's the requirement? So if you're a Canadian employer who wants to hire foreign nationals that do not have right to work in Canada, they need work permit. You will need to receive an LMIA approval below are the three main components, important requirements. One, the first requirement for all employers is to show evidence that they have genuinely attempted to search for qualified domestic Canadian workers. That's proven by your recruitment efforts. Okay, you have no choice but to hire foreign workers because you couldn't find the locals. Okay, that's the main theme of what's going on in Canada at the moment. It's very difficult to find a suitable talent for the job. So I don't think this first requirement is too onerous at the moment, but it can change. Second requirement, it depends on whether you plan to hire a worker for a high wage or low wage. If you plan on paying your foreign worker above the province median wage, then you will be classed as high wage for LMIA purposes. So high wage, what does it mean is this is the median hourly wages by province. So you can see if you pay higher than that, that will be considered high wage. And of course, low wage is proportionally, if it's lower, below the median wage, then it will be low wage category. So you need to, depending on high wage or low wage, your requirements may change. The third requirement entails an inspection for compliance with regulations. This is the transition plan. What's going on with your transition? This applies to those employers that have already hired foreign workers, not the first time, because first time you don't have yet implemented transition plan. That's why you cannot progress, you cannot report your progress. Okay, hiring high wage workers. Now another thing is you must demonstrate when you hire high wage workers, you must present a transition plan. Transition plan, let me open that right away. Transition plan is a plan that it's a mandatory requirement to hire temporary foreign workers for high wage positions. It describes the activities you are going to take to recruit, retain, and train Canadian permanent residents and reduce your reliance on the foreign worker. Okay, that's the plan. So what it means is you may bring very senior person for a higher salary, but that should be a catalyst for training local Canadians. Okay, the benefit is you need to have a transition plan, and how will you reduce your reliance on foreign workers? That should be very clear. And if you have never completed a transition plan before, you must submit one as indicated in the application for LMIA. So there are certain exemptions, but you can read under this. So transition plan is most of the time is applicable for high wage workers. So high wage worker is someone who gives back to your Canadian workforce in that sense. So he or she must be a very qualified person because he's getting high wage, right? And that his knowledge should be transferred, his training should be transferred, or he or she his or her activities may result in improving employment opportunities for Canadians. So you need to think about that transition plan very thoroughly. It can include, you can do so by recruiting, retraining, and upskilling workers who are Canadian permanent residents. So a good example is a senior person comes into your Canadian office, and the wealth of knowledge that person brings is then disseminated to your Canadian workforce, and then that person helps them to improve your workforce in Canada. So employers can also show how they are helping that high-skilled temporary foreign workers to become permanent residents. Certain programs, the manuals for those programs, immigration programs, mention that as an employer, you should encourage or support your foreign worker to become permanent if in the high-skilled category. So Canada allows you to bring the foreign worker and encourages you to keep that foreign worker and help them to become permanent residents in Canada. So that's it's a talent retention strategy of Canada. Okay, it's one thing to bring the talent; it's another thing not to lose that talent to United States, for example, right? Because we want to retain that talent in Canada. Hiring low-wage workers, it's another category that you may have to take. If you plan on employing low-wage, you're not required to submit a transition plan. However, your ability to hire foreign workers will be subject to a cap. There's a limit, quota limit, cap limit that the government places on how many foreign workers, low-wage foreign workers, you can hire. The limits are the following. If you have 10 employees or more, your allowable cap is for foreign workers is 20% of your workforce. So if you have 10, you can have 2, let's say. For applications that are submitted between April 30th and 22 and April 30th, 23, the employers can hire more foreign workers. That's it. The cap has increased to 30% in the following industries. Okay, which means the following industries are in desperate need for foreign workers. Okay, and excuse me, as an employer, you must cover the transportation cost to Canada and return cost to home country, and you must also ensure suitable and affordable housing for your worker. That's your responsibility as a Canadian employer. Okay, these are the considerations on LMIA eligibility. These are very important questions, and I will go through them very quickly. Let me see. Okay, I can see some questions. Thank you very much. But I'm almost done, and once I'm done, I will get back to your questions. Okay. ESDC, the government authority, the government office that issues LMIAs, will look into the following factors to determine your eligibility as a Canadian employer wishing to hire foreign workers through LMIA. The question is the first topic that they will want to discuss: is there evident labor shortage in the market? At the moment, I think yes. At the moment, the unemployment rate is so low. There are a lot of projects that are delayed because of worker shortage. I think this question, in most scenarios, can be answered as yes. There is an evident labor shortage that cannot be filled with Canadian residents in the region. This report that I mentioned earlier, here's some quotes from the businesses. It says, the immigration system is critical for us to find highly specialized skill set that just aren't available in the Canadian market. That's the quote from the Canadian businesses, employers. So yes, at the moment, this question I don't think is too difficult to answer. Second, has the Canadian employer made appropriate recruitment efforts? Again, your genuine efforts to hire a Canadian. Most of the time, if you answer to this question as yes, most probably you tried to hire Canadians, but you couldn't find. So the shortage is evident here too. The third is whether working conditions in compliance with the municipal, provincial, and federal regulations. In most cases, that's okay. That's employers in Canada take good care of being compliant with all the regulations applicable to their industry. Does the salary offer consist of fair representation of the average salary? If you don't give Canadian standard average salary for that position and in that location, nobody will come to you for you to work, to be honest. And government will not allow you to abuse foreign worker by offering foreign worker very low wages, so it should be fair representation of the average salary. Will the worker be able to perform the employment duties? That's something the background of the employee, the worker. You need to analyze whether he or she is suitable for the job that you're hiring. That's ESDC's analysis of the worker. Whether the employer is involved in an ongoing employment dispute. That's maybe looking at the history of your company, whether you had some employment related problems. So that's very important for them, and because they have access to that data from many sources on the government side. Does the intended salary reflect the average salary for the profession in the region? This is relevant to this question, but it is the average salary for that region, for that profession. You need to prove that yes, you are offering a fair compensation. Will employing a foreign worker have a positive impact on job creation and retention in Canada? So one thing is, when you bring a foreign worker into Canada and he or she starts working for your Canadian operations, what is that impact? Is it bad or good? Good in the sense that it should create more jobs. You should be able to get more contracts because the employer has arrived for your company in Canada. Or you need to prove that if you don't get that worker, your contracts, or you cannot retain this many employers, you will probably have to fire them, right? So you need to connect how this important foreign worker is coming and creating more opportunities for Canadians, or preventing from firing people. Okay, retention is another topic that ESDC will use in assessing your LMIA application. Okay, LMIA processing time. This is a very contested topic these days. I agree that ESDC officers are quite fast in processing your LMIA applications. Usually they give an answer within 10 business days, most of the time. However, ESDC can take a few months to respond to your application during high application seasons. That's, I would say, construction season, agricultural season. These seasons are very busy in Canada on the ESDC side. So as a Canadian employer, you need to plan ahead of time. You need to give yourself some buffer time, 1 or 2 months at least as a buffer time, because you cannot say, oh, I need my employer next week. No, you need my workers next week. You should be planning accordingly. Maybe on a quarterly basis, you need to review that. And on annual meetings, you need to forecast how many workers you would need and start acting accordingly, because ESDC has resources, but those resources may not be enough for everybody who's trying to hire internationally at the moment. There are certain LMI applications that could be expedited. That's high demand professions and trades. Top 10% of wage earners. If your worker is a high earner, this is what's the definition. So this is top 10 wage earners eligible for 10-day speed of service. So this is something that you may consider. These are, I think, one of the highest salaries in Canada. And short duration. If you're bringing a worker for under 120 days, that's under 4 months, then you can get an expedited process for LMIA. There's a cost for LMIA. It's $1,000 per requested position. It's an application fee, basically. LMIA advertising requirements, I mentioned you need to advertise on Job Bank and at least 2 additional recruitment methods. Either you're using a recruiting agency or you're posting on other websites. So you need to show genuine attempt to hire local Canadians. There are certain categories that are LMIA exempt. So you don't need to apply for LMIA to bring foreign workers from countries with free trade agreements with Canada. Global talent stream, this is tech workers. So you can read more about global talent stream at this page. We have a very detailed guide for you, and everything is very, straightforward. Ex-NAFTA, that's a new agreement called CUSMA. That's a Mexican and United States citizens of Mexico and United States. They will likely be eligible for LMIA exemption. CETA countries. CETA is a European Union and Canada agreement. So certain occupations from the European Union countries may be exempt from LMIA. And intra-company transfer programs, if there's you have a subsidiary or a branch in Canada of your foreign company, you may transfer your workers between them without LMIA. and facilitated LMIA for Quebec employers. There's a separate process for Quebec companies that can bypass the requirement for LMIA. So finally, you may be wondering, if Canada needs so many workers, why Canada has implemented LMIA? Why government is creating so many hurdles to bring foreign workers? My answer to this is Canada is a welcoming country for immigrants and foreign workers. However, Canadian government has also an obligation before its own citizens and residents to protect labor market against abuse, against overflow of foreign workers. So they have a responsibility in front of the citizens, before the citizens. So therefore, LMIA is a way to protect Canadian interests, economic interests, and domestic workforce interests. That's why they want to protect that, and that's why the system works like that. As a result, it can be a bit burdensome for certain employers in Canada. Why? You may wonder, I need employees, like 100 employers tomorrow, 100 workers tomorrow, but I'm so overwhelmed by the process. If you think so, we are here to help. We will try our best to make your life easier. And we've done a lot of LMIAs before. Our team is very qualified to do that, and we get access to many foreign countries because we speak foreign languages too. So if you are a Canadian employer and want to hire international talent, here are our contacts. You can contact us at any time, and we will brainstorm with you how to proceed with hiring foreign workers, what you should be paying attention to, and how things are should be perceived in terms of time, expectations, strategy. We are very flexible and very creative in terms of your overall HR and talent recruitment strategy. So contact us. We will be happy to chat with you and see how we can help. If we can help you, we will tell so. If we cannot help you, we will also be very open and transparent about that. Okay? That's it for my presentation. If you want contact information, you can scan this QR code and send us your questions. Now, speaking of questions, thank you for those who are actively participating. Now I will take the questions. Hello, Asad from Turkey. Thank you very much for your wishes. I wish you have a great day too. So let's see how many questions we have. Okay. Kajal Autani, ONP Entrepreneurship Program states that one can apply with a partner. Does that mean that there will be two applicants under one business? If yes, is the investment required still $200,000 or doubles? No, it should be, well, per applicant is that minimum requirement of investment. Okay, you cannot put 200,000 and bring two applicants to that. So another way of doing it is for main applicant who invests and opens a business in Ontario, let them do the investment first and then hire the second partner under certain program, for temporary foreign worker program, for example. If they want to do it together, then they have to be qualified separately for that. Doing it jointly, doing business jointly, that could improve their chances, because what that means is they will invest more money. So when you talk about the minimums, like 200,000 or whatever, 100,000 minimums in provincial nominee programs, be aware that these minimums put you at the very low end of that priority list. For example, if somebody says, I want to invest $2 million, those people will be prioritized because of the amount of money, right? So 200, when you go with minimums realize that minimums will give you minimum chance, okay? And you will be probably at the end of the queue in terms of government selection of your expression of interest. Each individual applicant should qualify under the program, which means each has to demonstrate the necessary net worth and the necessary amount of investment. Okay. Can a company lock in an employee who is being transferred, intra-company transfer with a bond? Because they'll eventually get PR and might leave the company. No, there is no such you cannot force people to stay with you. What you can do is to encourage them to stay with you. For example, if you do an ICT transfer, intra-company transfer of an employee to Canada, that work permit is restricted to the Canadian branch of your company, right? So it's a restricted work permit. So that worker is encouraged to stay with the company because that affects his PR efforts. So because he will be working and then getting Canadian experience and so on. So it's an encouragement method. You cannot put a bond and say, okay, if you leave me, I'll get your money out. You will not get any reimbursement. Bonding, basically it's not allowed. Okay, whatever employment standards are present in Canada, you have to follow those employment standards. And employment standards in Canada, they don't put a bond for a hired worker. Okay, it doesn't. So employers are in a peculiar situation to encourage, to treat the worker well, to help them to transition for PR, to gain their loyalty, for them to stay with that company for a long term. So in other words, Kajal, I think it's a workers' market at the moment. Employees have a lot of bargaining power these days. So bonding the relationship with kind of a monetary punishment or putting a bond on it, it's not allowed, no. So you need to take care of your employer so that they don't leave you even after becoming permanent residents or Canadian PR or Canadian citizen. All right, another question from Kajal. Can someone's experience as a trustee in a public trust that runs schools and educational institutions be considered for C11 or C12? Well, any experience, if it's relevant to what you want to do in Canada, will be taken into account. So when you do C11 or C12, you put down a plan that you want to realize and your assets that helps you to realize that plan. Your assets are your qualifications, your experience, and so on. And to answer very shortly to this question, yes, that could be considered for your applications. Depends on the nature of the work you want to do and what are your plans to do here. Maybe your plans could be running a new type of school. I don't know. Public trust relevant to educational industry could be relevant then. Overall, your management skills, your people management skills, your business management skills, and all this stuff, it is relevant. And I'm not sure what is day-to-day life of a public of a trustee in a public trust. What do they do on a daily basis? What kind of exposure they have to certain aspects of running an organization or a trust? So that's all relevant. That's why the lawyer has to sit with you to know you ins and outs, and then devise an immigration strategy for C11 or C12. Okay. Now, hello, Chetan Hamrajani. Hello, Chetan. I hope you're doing fine. Let me see. Can a foreign national open a business in Canada and apply for own LMIA. Yeah, owner-operator LMIA is what you are referring to. Let me bring that out. Here's the FAQs. The FAQ section is also there. I encourage you to read that FAQ section. So this is standard questions that we answered, and this is about owner-operator LMIA. Foreign nationals can create and fill their job vacancy under owner-operator LMIA. It involves creating or acquiring a company or a part of a company in Canada. Following this, the owner-operator will have to obtain a work permit. Under owner-operator LMIA, the applicant must also adhere to the same requirements as employers do under LMIA. So, which means that you have to show recruitment effort. You couldn't find a local Canadian for that position. That's why your company is hiring you to that position. So there's a change in owner-operator recently. A year ago, it was changed. So I suggest that you read this article to understand how difficult it has become. It's not cancellation as we know. Well, cancellation as we knew it at that time. Now it has become so different, so onerous for you to hire yourself that it means that you probably need to look into the other programs, other alternatives to owner-operator, okay? I suggest that you look into that. This is our article published last year when the changes were implemented. Now owner-operator for a small company, single-player company, it has become very difficult. Okay? Your question is yes, but it's difficult. Okay. Good morning. Hi, Rosalie. Good morning. How do employers employing postgraduate work permit workers increase CRS score in the express entry in terms of LMIA for job offers? Thank you. Okay. Let's dissect this question. So the person has a postgraduate work permit, which is an open work permit that allows you to work anywhere in Canada for anyone. And because of the permanent job offer, that job offer can be used for work permit. You already have a work permit. That job offer can be used for express entry to increase your points, let's say to 50 points, okay? That LMIA should be obtained, although with the postgraduate work permit, you don't need an LMIA to hire a postgraduate work permit holder, right? Because that's an open work permit. He's ready or she is ready to be hired right away. So if you have good relationship with your employer, you should tell them, hey, I want to stay with your company. Hire me through LMIA, give me a job offer that I can use to increase my express entry scores, CRS scores, and let me become more loyal to you, basically, and stay with you long term. That could be the encouragement from the worker's side, and technically, it's not a big issue for an employer to do the LMIA and offer a job offer, to make a job offer that increases the workers' chances in express entry. So I think at the moment, my argument is that employers, they need workers, and workers, they need permanent residents. If that's the case, why don't they agree together? An employer will get a loyal worker for a long term, because once you help the person to get permanent residence, that person is highly likely to stay with you long term. So that's the relationship you need to build. It's very much straightforward process if the postgraduate work permit holder is in Canada, and while they work on the postgraduate work permit, in parallel they start their express entry, get LMIA, job offer, increase the points. It will take a couple of years, and almost guaranteed, that worker will stay with that employer for at least a couple of years, because the process is taking so long these days. So it's kind of a HR strategy or talent acquisition strategy for employers to consider. support their permanent residence and they will stay with you. I think it's possible, yeah. 𝗙𝗍𝗄𝗧𝗏 is asking, oh wow, that's a big question. Let me make it smaller. All right, here we go. Here we go. University, Google, okay. I'm out of Canada, Shami is saying. I'm out of Canada. I plan to set up my own 100% company, 100% shareholder company. Initially, only I and myself will be the employee as its CEO. Once my Canadian company is set up, it will invite me to shift to Canada on C11 International Mobility Program. Is it okay? Your fees, time. Okay, it's okay, and we do a lot of those. And let me refer to you now to our website again, where you can see those. So we did some success stories recently, and you can select C11. You can search here the C11 and get a lot of success stories right away. So success stories from Oman, for example, and this is a very detailed C11 process. So how much time, what's the plan, how to do it, and so on. And fee calculator is here. You can select the answer that fits you, and you will get your estimated cost. Okay. In terms of processing, Shami, it depends where you're applying from. If you're applying from Canada, within Canada, that's different. If you're applying from, let's say, from India, let's see the CIC processing time. Let me right away, while we have you here, let's assume, I don't know where you're from, but let's assume that you are applying from India, work permit from outside of Canada, let's say India. There we go. 44 weeks, that's crazy. This is really crazy. And this is very rough estimate. We had some success stories from India. Let me find one for you. Recently, India is taking too much time, to be honest. This one, for example, this is not C11 per se, but this is the process we had to go through. See, application and business. We incorporated. We applied in December. In May, we got after COVID and everything, we got the answer. So that's a realistic timeline in terms of work permits, right? This is an intra-company transfer work permit. However, it's a work permit at the end. So this estimate is horrible, to be honest. However, this includes all work permits from India, all type. And the aggregate of all applications is this. However, we noticed, this is a good example of intra-company transfer. C11 is a bit different. So I would give you this as a good real-time, real-life experience in terms of processing time, okay? Otherwise, I don't know which country you're applying from, but that's my my thoughts about application in India. That's, to be honest, that's outrageous. 44 weeks. Unbelievable. Okay, I hope I answered your question. So I said, is it okay? Yes, it's okay. Your fees, you need to calculate the fees on our website. The time-wise, not great. However, C11 maybe on the different category. Okay. All right, here we go. Thank you very much. Whoever is saying thank you, our LinkedIn users, thank you. Make sure that you follow our page on LinkedIn, and everything is published there. We are creating very meaningful content every week. So follow us, stay updated. Muhammad Shakil, is welder an in-demand job currently in Canada? Yes, it is. It is in-demand job. VS is asking the following question. Do I need to pay Canadian taxes on my salary if I leave the country to work from abroad within a few weeks? Well, if your salary is paid by a Canadian employer, your taxes are automatically deducted. Yes, you need to pay on. Most of the time, the Canadian employer puts you on payroll and then deducts salaries automatically, and you receive that portion, which is after tax portion, in your bank account. Okay. Asad is asking the following question. Is there any way to get an answer or explanation because our ICT application didn't get any response for 8.5 months? Understanding it's related outside the country Canadian Embassy, the IRCC processing page always does not show actual times. The only method we do is we request the embassy to update us and IRCC to update us through web form. There's a web form that we use to communicate our request, and if the request is answered, then we are happy to inform the client. If they don't answer, they don't answer sometimes. So we use web form. There's a way, it's called web form, to ask about the status. However, most of the information about the status of application is in the representative portal, authorized representative portal. We get that update instantly if something changes in the status of application. At the moment, nothing has changed. Unfortunately, 8.5 months is too long, I know. However, we are constantly following up, trying to get updates on the case from the IRCC and the embassy. Okay. Here we go. This is in different language that I understand. So he's saying I applied to positions from job bank, but he didn't get any response from the employer. So I'm not sure, job bank positions are out there. You can communicate with employer. Employer chooses to answer or chooses not to answer. So there's no requirement to answer your job bank applications. So if you are selected as a suitable worker, then you will get an answer. Otherwise, it's up to them. Sorry, I cannot say anything about that. So Rosalie, great response. Thank you very much. To help retain our workers, both to our company and for Canada's goal of retaining skilled workers. Thanks so much. Your sessions are always meaningful and helpful. Thank you so much, Rosalie. I hope Canadian employers will realize that it's not only about salary. It's not only about career progress. It's also about immigration. Now, if you want to bring foreign talent, you should put immigration on the table and say, hey, foreign talent, come to me. I will hire you. I will help you to become permanent residents. And as a result, we will help your family to come to Canada permanently. So that's the message I want to hear from employers who are engaging with foreign talent, okay? Because to be honest, I will be very honest, Canada, for many talented workers outside of Canada, Canada is not, sometimes it's not their top choice. US is their top choice. Australia is their top choice. So Canada should manage its expectation. Canadian employers should manage their expectation and say, and be realistic and say, we are at war for foreign talent. We need to fight to get foreign talent. It's not just, oh, everybody wants to come to Canada. No. Go outside of Canada and ask the workers, do you want to go to Canada? Or do you want to go to Europe or United States or Australia or Singapore or Dubai? Where do you want to go? Canada sometimes is not top of the list, especially for highly skilled, very talented, very educated workforce. It's not one of their... So Canadian employers should get up there from their seats and go fight for those talented people and bring them to Canada and keep them in Canada. If they're international students, Maintain good relationship with international students. Get their attention, treat them, nurture them, and keep them in your company. So that's the new message I want to give to Canadian employers. It's not that easy. You are at war for talent with many other countries around the world who are giving very easy pass on visas, easy immigration, easy staying permanently, and so on. So Canada has to fight for that. Okay, Chetan, I hope you got the answer. Shami, let me see again. Thanks. I'm going to visit your website and will surely be in touch with you. Thank you very much, Shami. Read some the success stories. Maybe you can relate to some of them. Maybe it doesn't ideally fit your scenario. However, it can give you some food for thought in terms of analysis. Okay. Okay, all right. It's been 1 hour and 2 minutes. I've been speaking nonstop. I hope you enjoyed this session. Next week, this Sunday, I'm traveling to Alberta and then to British Columbia. I will be researching local situations, and I will be interviewing several parties related to rural entrepreneurship stream in Alberta. I will be doing some research in those provinces, and I will be sharing it with you. So stay updated, subscribe to my channel, to Law Firm channel. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, whatever you feel comfortable. Send us your questions under comment. And if you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't like this video, thumbs down. Whatever comment and feedback is very highly appreciated. And we do it for you. We learn from you. And I hope to see you again next week. Thank you very much for your participation. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.